Fear is a projection, not a presence. The moment it enters, it dresses itself in possibilities that have not yet occurred. The mind, being powerful yet untamed, begins to write stories, each one more vivid than the last. In those stories, the body reacts, the breath shortens, and action becomes frozen. But nothing has actually happened. The moment, untouched, remains calm. Imagination is a tool, neutral in nature. When directed toward beauty, it creates inspiration. When hijacked by uncertainty, it becomes fear. The same mind that can dream peace can also invent danger. The difference lies in where attention is placed and what we choose to energize with belief. Reality is experienced through the senses. It is grounded, direct, and present, but fear rarely enters through the senses. It arrives in between them. It's the space between the creaking floor and the thought of an intruder, between a silence and the mind saying, "Something is wrong." In these spaces, imagination is left unchecked. A disciplined mind observes fear like a passing cloud. It does not follow it. It does not argue. It does not run. Observation breaks illusion. By seeing the thought without merging with it, the spell is broken. The heart may still beat fast, but awareness stands still. From that stillness, clarity returns. Training is the sharpening of perception. Through breathwork, movement, and contemplation, one begins to recognize which feelings belong to the moment and which are echoes from elsewhere. You learn to separate the sound from the noise, the present from the imagined. This is not the suppression of fear. It is the disarming of it. Imagination, when guided by fear, becomes a trap. It locks doors that are not there. It blinds the eyes to open paths. The key is not to destroy imagination, but to place it under conscious guidance. The one who commands the mind does not fear the creations of the mind. Even in the face of real danger, fear born from imagination can be more paralyzing than the danger itself. The mind amplifies, it loops, it stretches moments into eternities, but the body, when anchored, responds precisely. It knows when to move, how to breathe, and where to direct strength. To see fear clearly is to separate what is happening from what is imagined to be happening. This separation is the beginning of freedom, the beginning of mastery, the beginning of walking the path without being moved by shadows. The nature of fear, doubt, or inner resistance is to grow in the absence of attention. What we avoid begins to gather size in the corners of our mind. It whispers louder the longer we refuse to look. But the moment we turn to face it, its power begins to dissolve, not because it is gone, but because we are no longer turning away. Avoidance creates weight. With every step taken in the opposite direction, the burden of what is not confronted grows heavier. The mind becomes filled with rehearsals of escape. But when we choose to stop, to look directly, we realize it is not a mountain, it is mist. Facing is not about aggression. It is about presence. You do not need to attack what you fear. You only need to stand still before it. The still gaze carries the strength of 10,000 steps. It says, "I am here now, and I am not running." That moment changes everything. The energy we give to avoiding is far greater than the energy needed to confront. The mind becomes exhausted in the effort to pretend. But when the confrontation is allowed, the energy returns to us. A quiet power rises from the decision to see without flinching. Each time you face what once shook you, it loses shape. It becomes smaller, more transparent. What once roared now trembles. What once held you back now opens the way. The mind that once reacted learns that not everything that feels strong is real. In training, discomfort is not something to be pushed away. It is something to step into. Tiredness, confusion, hesitation. They are not enemies. They are invitations. The sooner you face them, the sooner they release their grip. What is looked at directly has no room to grow behind your back. Even memories lose power when they are brought into the light. What you carry becomes lighter when it is named, observed, and accepted. Reflection without resistance allows the past to loosen its hold. The mind no longer trembles when it remembers what it has already faced. The unknown only terrifies when it is left undefined. But when you walk toward it, step by step, it begins to take shape. And often, that shape is far smaller than what the mind imagined in fear. The mind does not need comfort, it needs clarity, and clarity comes from looking without turning away. Stillness is not emptiness, it is the ground where truth reveals itself. When the body and mind quiet, the noise that clouds perception begins to fade. Illusions thrive in movement. When the mind races, stories multiply. But in stillness, these stories lose their grip. The restless mind creates many versions of reality, mixing fact with fear, hope with doubt. It paints pictures that do not exist, distorting what is. When you cultivate stillness, you see these images as mere reflections, shadows on water, easily disturbed and reshaped. In movement, thoughts chase one another, pulling attention in many directions. Stillness gathers attention like a magnet, focusing it deeply. With concentrated presence, the veil of illusion thins. What seemed real becomes fragile, and what is true remains steady and clear. Breath is the bridge to stillness. By following the natural rhythm of breathing, the mind can slow its restless wanderings. Each inhalation and exhalation invites a deeper calm, anchoring awareness firmly in the present moment, where illusions cannot hold. Stillness reveals the difference between reaction and response. When agitated, the mind reacts impulsively, often deceived by appearances. In stillness, response arises, not automatic, but conscious and measured. The power of choice returns, dissolving the automatic hold illusions have. The body, too, speaks in stillness. Tension softens, muscles relax, and energy flows without blockage. In this state, the mind's stories lose their emotional charge. What once triggered anxiety now becomes simply a passing thought, observed without judgment. Patience is the companion of stillness. The mind learns not to demand immediate answers or outcomes. It waits quietly, allowing truths to emerge naturally. In this patience, the mind sees beyond surface distractions to the core of what truly is. Stillness is the practice of witnessing without attachment. It is the art of holding space for all that arises without clinging or rejecting. In this open awareness, illusions cannot survive because they depend on our acceptance and fear. Stillness quietly unmasks them. The body is the first to respond when danger or uncertainty appears. It reacts instinctively, guided by ancient patterns built to protect and preserve life. A quickened heartbeat, shallow breath, tense muscles, these are signals, not judgments. They prepare us for action, not panic. The mind, however, has a habit of taking these physical signals and weaving stories around them. A rapid heartbeat becomes a sign of imminent disaster. Tightness in the chest transforms into a threat far larger than the moment demands. This amplification is where fear grows beyond its source. Sensations are neutral. The body feels tension or discomfort, but meaning is given by the mind. Without conscious awareness, the mind's stories can spiral, turning small signals into mountains of worry. This exaggeration pulls attention away from what actually is and into imagined futures. Understanding this difference is key to mastery. Recognizing that the body acts as messenger and the mind as storyteller creates space for discernment. When you notice the body's reaction, you can pause before believing the mind's embellishments. This pause breaks the cycle of anxiety. Training the mind to observe without immediate judgment quiets the narrative. Like watching clouds move across the sky, you see thoughts pass without needing to follow or fuel them. The body's signals remain, but the mind's tendency to exaggerate softens and becomes less convincing. The mind's exaggeration often comes from habits, memories, and fears rooted deep in experience. It seeks to protect, but in doing so can create more suffering. By returning focus to the body's direct sensations, breath, posture, pulse, you anchor in reality, reducing the mind's distortions. Over time, the repeated practice of this awareness rewires your response. The mind learns not to inflate the body's messages, and the body learns it is safe to relax. Fear loses its hold when the mind no longer paints it in vivid colors beyond necessity. This balance between body and mind brings clarity. The body's reaction remains a vital guide, but the mind becomes a calm observer rather than a fearful narrator. Through this harmony, what once overwhelmed now becomes manageable, and presence replaces distortion. Mastery is not the absence of uncertainty, it is the ability to move forward despite it. The unknown is the natural state of life, full of surprises, challenges, and shifts beyond control. To master oneself is to embrace this uncertainty with calmness and steadiness. Walking calmly through the unknown means trusting the body and mind to navigate without grasping for false security. The mind may seek to predict or control, but mastery recognizes the limits of such efforts. Instead, it grounds itself in the present moment, ready to adapt and respond. The path of mastery is lined with moments of doubt and fear, yet these do not dictate the step you take. Calmness arises not from ignoring these feelings, but from observing them without being pulled into their storm. In this observation lies strength and clarity. Each step into the unknown is a lesson. It reveals the mind's tendency to resist and the body's capacity to endure. Mastery is cultivating the courage to take the next step even when the destination is unseen, trusting that movement itself creates the path. Stillness within movement is a sign of true mastery. It is the quiet center that remains unshaken while the world shifts around. This stillness allows the practitioner to see clearly, act wisely, and keep balance regardless of external chaos. Mastery requires patience. The unknown cannot be rushed or forced. It unfolds in its own time and way. To walk calmly is to accept this rhythm, to move in harmony with life's unpredictable flow rather than against it. The unknown tests discipline and humility. It reminds the master that control is often an illusion. True control is found in surrender, the surrender to what is, not what should be, and the calm resolve to keep walking forward regardless. Walking calmly through the unknown is a practice of presence. It is a daily choice to meet uncertainty, not with resistance, but with openness. In this practice, mastery grows not as a destination, but as a way of being that transforms fear into peaceful courage. Discipline is more than rigid rules or forced routines. It is the deliberate practice of choosing what shapes the mind and body. Through consistent effort, discipline becomes the architect of the nervous system, guiding its responses away from chaos toward calm and control. The nervous system is the bridge between the outside world and our inner experience. It processes signals, triggers reactions, and influences how we feel. Without conscious direction, it can become trapped in patterns of stress, fear, and reactivity. Discipline offers a way to reshape these patterns. Through repetition, the nervous system learns new pathways. Like water carving a new channel in stone, disciplined actions create grooves that become easier to follow. Over time, these new pathways replace old habits of tension and turmoil with ones of stability and ease. Breath control, meditation, and mindful movement are tools of this rewiring. They signal to the nervous system that safety and balance are possible. With regular practice, the body's natural fight responses soften, giving way to rest, repair, and clear thinking. Discipline trains the nervous system to respond rather than react. Where once it jumped at shadows, it now waits with calm observation. This retraining is not instantaneous, but grows stronger with each intentional moment of stillness or focus. The brain's plasticity allows this change at any age. No matter how deeply ingrained old patterns are, discipline opens the door to transformation. It teaches the nervous system to discern between real threat and imagined danger, reducing unnecessary stress. This rewiring brings freedom. The body no longer carries the burden of constant alarm. The mind gains clarity, no longer clouded by reactive impulses. Through discipline, resilience becomes natural, and peace becomes accessible even amid turmoil. Discipline is thus not a limitation, but an expansion. It reshapes the nervous system from a source of turmoil into a foundation of strength. This is the quiet power that sustains mastery beyond moments of effort and into every breath of life.